battle of Bihar seems to be a slam dunk if you go by exit polls. Now, I'm going to start this piece with the regular caution that exit polls are not exact polls, they are indicative, and two very key exit polls are yet to be put out today. Having said that, from the 9 polls that were put out last evening after 6:30 p.m. when polling ended in the second phase in Bihar, this is the average of it. So the poll of poll, the NDTV poll of polls says the NDA is going to come back to power with even bigger mandate in Bihar this time with 147 seats. The Mahagatbandhan, meanwhile, seems to have lost steam, and the Jan Suraj party, which was Prashant Kishor's debut, seems to have fizzled out and not taken off at start. This is what the poll of polls is saying. Now, we'll go into the details of the exit polls, but it's actually astonishing because usually you at least have some outliers. Here, it's very clearly showing a sweep for the NDA. This is perhaps why you're seeing markets so excited. Now, what does this tell you? Exit polls are indicating an even bigger mandate for NDA. And this is also about Nitish Kumar. Make no mistake, he's been chief minister for about 20 years now. This election came at a time when there were talks of whether there were some health issues, whether there was cognitive issues, does he know what is happening? Well, the people of Bihar are very clear. They want him back one way or the other. And this is a clear mandate, not even a post-poll alliance that he needs to hobble together. Prashant Kishor's Jan Suraj doesn't seem to have taken off at all. If at all, if these numbers do hold, one would say they've eaten into the Mahagatbandhan vote rather than the NDA. The Mahagatbandhan, of course, faces a major setback, question of whether that opposition alliance stays the course even at a national level. Record voter turnout is the other question. 67% voter turnout in Bihar. This time, women at the forefront of it. Has never happened before for several years actually that you've seen such a high voter turnout. Is usually a sign of anti-incumbency. In this case, seems to be a sign of pro-incumbency. Could also be because of the fact that the change in the electoral rolls and the cleanup of the electoral rolls because of SIR has ensured that a lot of people, duplicate voters were taken out, which automatically increases the voter percentage. So those could be some of the reasons. But I'm going to get in Amitabh Tiwari to give us more insight into what this means. And of course, markets already seeming to celebrate. Amitabh, you're seeing a 140-point gap up on the Nifty. And the only thing that we can put it down to maybe is what the exit polls are saying. Shayad bahana hai market ke liye. But in terms of Bihar and what you've seen here, wouldn't it be astonishing to see this kind of a mandate if the exit polls actually go through?
No, essentially one has to keep in mind that some of the top agencies and including VoteVibe are agencies, and I'm not saying that we are from one of the top, is we have not released the data yet. So the data is going to be released today. That is number one. The turnout figures for male and female came only at around 9 p.m. yesterday. And as you have mentioned that the gap between the female and the male voters is around, or the turnout is around 9% this time. That's a huge number. However, that number officially was not available before that time. So this election is largely a hyper-local election with only one meta-narrative, or you can say a statewide theme, which is this Mahila Rozgar Yojana, in which around rupees 10,000 were transferred to 1.5 crore women, which is around 40% of the women electoral voter base. So that's a huge number. That's why perhaps we've seen an increase or surge in the votes cast by women. For the first time in Bihar, even the absolute votes cast by women is more than men. Not only the turnout, even the absolute votes cast is more than men. And we've seen historically that a higher women turnout has benefited Nitish Kumar specifically, and whichever party he has allied with in the past, be it the BJP in 2010 and 2020 or the RJD in 2015. So this is a number which will be keenly watched, and we'll have to wait and see how the results pan out and whether this high turnout really gives a big leg up to the NDA or not, like in other states.
Yeah, Amitabh, good morning. Alex here. I'm just wondering what your take is on the new entrant, Jan Suraj. a tendency of new challengers is to eat into the share of others clearly if they are not runaway winners. The latter does not seem to be likely this time for them. I want your opinion on that. And are they more likely to have eaten into the share of the Mahagatbandhan or the other way around?
No, essentially, Prashant Kishor has emerged as the CM face for people who have been voting for others and smaller parties in Bihar, and others and smaller parties have a very high vote share, around 20% plus in Bihar. So we'll have to wait and see whether which party Jan Suraj has damaged more, because just like the LJP in 2020, it damaged more. It damaged both the NDA as well as the Mahagatbandhan. So on a net basis, it damaged NDA more by 8 seats in 2020. So this time around, if you see conceptually, yes, whatever votes Jan Suraj is getting is largely helping NDA split the anti-incumbency vote or the opposition vote conceptually. And if you see the social composition of the Jan Suraj voters, it's largely youth. Youth are disenchanted, and that is also an opportunity loss for Mahagatbandhan. But caste-wise, if you see, is also largely polling a large section of upper caste votes, which again could damage the NDA in some seats. So it's largely the role of a spoiler. In 83 seats, the victory margin in 2020 was less than equal to 5% votes. So if he polls more than 5% in those 83 seats, then he's likely to damage some or the other alliance, and only the results will show which alliance or party he has, or the Jan Suraj has damaged more. I think it will be damaging both, but on a net basis, we'll have to see which party or alliance is damaged more after the results.
Amitabh, you said at the beginning of your comments, and I want to welcome Mayuresh Joshi to this conversation as well, as we talk election and markets. He's head of research, Market Smith India. Hi, good morning, Mayuresh. Just to follow up to what Amitabh was saying, you started by saying that, you know, of course, some agencies have not released their polling data. This polling data would not take into account all of phase 2, right? How much of a change do you expect once phase 2 is completely accounted for in the exit polls?
No, essentially what happens is that on the day of the last phase, people take samples up to 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, depending upon the operations of that entity, and then do some kind of projection. Normally in the last phase, what happens is that a smaller percentage of seats go for polls. In this case, 50% of the seats have gone to polls in the last phase. So the weightage of the poll happening on the last day or the last phase is very high compared to other states, correct? So that's why I think some agencies and we've at VoteVibe consciously taken a decision that we would need more samples to arrive at certain conclusion, and we have been working by the night and probably will be releasing the data today.
Is there a potential, and Mayuresh, sorry to keep you waiting, just a follow-up, is there a potential that we're reading these exit polls too early and something might swing the other way? Or, I mean, of course, I'm just asking whether there's a possibility, in your opinion.
See, I mean, Bihar is a tricky state for pollsters. In 2015, everybody said NDA is winning. The Mahagatbandhan won a landslide, a landslide. In 2020, the consensus was Mahagatbandhan is winning, and the NDA emerged as the winner. So, of course, I mean, we will have to take the exit polls with a pinch of salt. They are not exact polls, and things could go wrong between today and the results day. However, the overarching theme again is the Mahila Rozgar Yojana and the higher female turnout, and to what extent it has been able to neutralize the local level anti-incumbency against sitting MLAs of the NDA, and also to what extent this Mahila Rozgar Yojana is able to pull silent voters from the core vote block of the Mahagatbandhan, which is largely the Muslim Yadav females. If that happens, then I think yes, it would be advantage NDA.
Mayuresh, I'm guessing investing for events is also, as normal investing, about a hypothesis that you build out and then test it whether it works or no, right? To your mind, would this exit poll outcome as it has come out thus far pave the way for a sustained uptick? Would you ride that uptick?
Morning, Neeraj. No, I think based on the exit polls, you will see a sentimental uptake, that's for sure. But again, I think the markets would wait conclusively for November 14th and when the actual results are declared. Because I think in the recent past, you've probably seen most exit polls probably go wrong. And therefore, I think markets will take it with a pinch of salt, wait for the actual results on November 14th. And then probably I think one of the political overhangs probably gets over. But I think this is not a swing factor for a market. I think even if it goes the other way, you might have a sentimental downtick if it goes the other way. Yeah. But I think the markets will then revert back to mean in terms of core earnings, tariff resolutions. So.
Mayuresh, having said that, the day of the first voter turnout and the high numbers in the first phase did spook the markets a bit, and you are seeing a gap up today. So what is it? Is it markets really looking for a reason, an excuse to rally, or was there actually any big credence given to the Bihar election results?
So morning, Tamanna. I think the markets probably were going a little bit tentative whenever a political event probably comes through. Yes, Bihar is an important state as far as the overall politics of the nation is concerned. But I think it is not a game changer for markets itself because strategically, I think decision making still remains with the center. And whatever I think the roles and responsibilities are happen out there. And therefore, I think this was something to do with how earnings will play out. And earnings have played out absolutely fine in Q2. I think there have been a lot of positive surprises as far as earnings are concerned. You're hearing of news yesterday of resolutions on the Trump tariffs as well. And add to that, I think if this turns out the way it is predicted, I think the markets will take it with both hands.
So it's just an add-on, an incremental factor to boost that bullish sentiment. Thank you so much, Amitabh, for joining us. You've burnt the midnight oil tabulating those numbers.